Welcome back to the Phil Files Christian Edition. I'm your friend David, and today we're diving into a fascinating part of the Bible, Genesis chapter 1, verses 20 to 23. Have you ever wondered about the creation of aquatic life and birds on the fifth day of creation? Well, we're going to talk about that today. So, these verses highlight a cornerstone for both Jewish and Christian traditions. They offer a lot of insights, not just about creation itself, but about the historical and cultural context surrounding them. So let's start by kind of looking at some of the background. Again, Genesis is traditionally attributed to Moses, though some scholars think that it's a compilation of sources all put together, and the Pentateuch, which does include Genesis, was likely finalized during the Babylonian exile in the 6th century BCE. That's what some scholars think. And so, what's really interesting is how the priestly source, which includes Genesis 1, uses a structured formulaic style. It emphasizes order and ritual. And so, all these phrases like, and God said, and it was so, really underscore the authority and intentionality behind creation. And so the historical context is quite fascinating. Genesis 1 is often seen as a response to the polytheistic myths of surrounding cultures like the Enuma Elish from Babylon. It's a strong assertion of monotheism. We talked about that throughout this whole series. And so let's move on to the imagery and the semiotics. So Genesis 1 20 to 23 is rich with vivid imagery. It paints a picture of a world brimming with life, the creation of the great sea creatures, and every living thing that moves symbolizes life's diversity and abundance. And let's not forget about the birds. They fly above the earth across the expanse of heavens, suggesting a sense of freedom and dynamism. There's a lot of symbolism here, too. In ancient Near Eastern literature, water often symbolized chaos and potential. And so in Genesis, God brings order to these primordial waters. The creatures within them become part of this harmonious cosmos. Birds, on the other hand, symbolize transcendence, moving between earth and sky, connecting the divine and the earthly. Maybe why the Holy Spirit is pictured like a dove in the New Testament. Now, let's turn to some of the theological aspects. Genesis 1 20 to 23 emphasizes God's sovereignty and his creativity. He speaks life into existence. He showcases the power of his divine word. And this idea of creation by divine fiat is quite distinct from the other creation myths, where creation often involves conflict or effort. And so the blessing in verse 22, where God commands the creatures to be fruitful and multiply, introduces a key theme in Genesis. It reflects God's intention for life to flourish, suggesting a divine mandate for growth and abundance. And this blessing also connects to the human vocation to be fruitful and multiply in Genesis 1:28. It links all living beings under God's order. It's a shared purpose that underscores the interconnectedness of life, not just humanity, but all of life. Now, let's talk about present cultural implications. In our contemporary world, Genesis 1 20 to 23 remains a source of a source of reflection and debate, especially in terms of ecological responsibility. The emphasis on goodness and diversity of creation, and we've talked about this in a lot of the other episodes, it inspires stewardship and responsibility toward the environment. And the depiction of harmonious creation invites dialogue with modern scientific understandings of biodiversity and ecosystems. It challenges us to consider how human actions impact life's delicate balance and to seek sustainable practices that honor creation's integrity. And in today's pluralistic society, these verses can be a point of interfaith dialogue. Interpretations vary, but the shared recognition of the world's beauty and complexity offers common ground for discussions on environmental ethics and humanity's role in the broader tapestry of life. And so, just to sum up, Genesis 1:20-23 is a profound narrative that speaks to our human experience of wonder and responsibility in creation's vastness. Its historical roots, rich imagery, and theological depth and cultural awareness continue to offer fertile ground for exploration and reflection. And so, as we grapple with today's challenges, especially with things like climate change and all the things going on ecologically, and as we reflect on this us versus them mentality that we seem to have, particularly in the United States, but also in most of Western thinking, where it's us versus them, and if you're not on my side, you're an enemy. That's not true. We are all interconnected, and it really does take a village. We need each other. And so that interconnectedness is important, not just from a humanity standpoint, but from all of life. And so thanks for listening today to the Phil Files Christian Edition. I hope you enjoyed today's look at a couple of verses in Genesis chapter 1. Until next time, keep exploring and reflecting. Thanks, and have a great day.